Last week I mentioned that Lent is a homecoming in which we're put in touch once again with our identity of who we are, where we really belong, where we are at home. And today we continue that theme by seeing that part of our identity is understanding not that we have chosen God, that we have chosen Jesus, but that He has chosen us. We are the elect. In fact, the first word for church in the Greek language is ekklesia, which literally means those who have been called out, those who have been elected. Over these weeks, these early days of Lent, we celebrate the rites of election, in which we'll have well over 1,000 people coming forward to come into the life of the church, the initiation rites, completing them, and coming in as members of the church, full members of the church. They understand that they have been called. And we see that so very clearly in the readings that are given to us today. Abraham was called. He was chosen. He was the one whom God singled out, not because of any merit on his part, but simply because God made the decision to do so. And so God made a permanent commitment with him. There is something about the experience of being selected, being elected, being chosen. That is something that an elected official experiences when they win an election. Or perhaps a person in a parish who's asked to do a particular ministry and invited to lector or be a Eucharistic minister, usher, or a person who's in the choir. As well as children knows what that's about too, of being selected, as maybe they're chosen to play on a team. There's something that happens to us when we're elected. We really see that our life is validated, that we count, that people notice us. And that's a beautiful thing. That is something that we need to recapture in this season as well. That we just don't let the years go by taking for granted our faith or thinking that it's just up to us. But to be in touch with how the Lord has reached out to us and called us, elected us, chosen us, and seeing the value in each one of us, seeing that we count before the Lord. But there's something else that we see in the scriptures today about those who are chosen elect. Jesus chooses Peter, James, and John. That's not by accident. For we remember that those three were vying for places of authority. Peter was chosen as the head of the apostles because he knew who Jesus was when he said, "You are the Son of the living God." But very soon after that, James and John wanted to, in some way, shove him aside, and so they sent their mother to Jesus, asking that they be placed at the right and left hand of Jesus. And Jesus tells Mrs. Zebedee that it's not for Jesus to choose, but for God. And God was the one who chose Peter, revealing to him who Jesus was. The important thing then about being elected is that each one of us have our own place and part to play, not in a way of rivalry or competition, but each one of us is selected to do a particular task. I've seen that time and again as working with people in our office. People come with various talents, but they're good at what they do in their particular area. They're not good at everything. None of us would be. But we're good at what, in fact, we've been given the talent to do. And so once we recognize that in each other, then there shouldn't be any kind of competition. And Jesus wanted to make sure that Peter, James, and John learned that they're selected for their own roles, their own responsibilities. Being chosen also in the Gospels and in the first reading that we have about Abraham reminds us that we also have to respond to God, a God who says he chooses us not just for today, not just for a moment, but he makes a permanent commitment with us. He does that with Abraham as he walks through that flaming group of animals that are being sacrificed. The message in doing that is simply this: may what happened to those animals happen to me if I break the covenant. God is willing to say that He's a God who is with us forever. So the experience of being chosen, of being elected, is something that we need to recapture in this wonderful season of Lent, to feel a real pride that God has recognized us, has chosen us, has given us a particular part to play, but also that God's word is good. He doesn't make etch-a-sketch friends just for a day or a period of time, but for all eternity. That is what is important for us to understand. Not that we have just been chosen for this life, but for the next. It is a choice that God makes that lasts for all eternity.